Second Dinner just announced their plans to revamp the entire Marvel Snap economy. It is not an understatement to say this is the most important announcement they will ever make. Let's take a look at the details. This thing you see on the screen next to me is called a Spotlight Cache, and it is about to be your new best friend. The way the new collection system is going to work, they are going to de-emphasize the token shop and re-emphasize opening cards on the collection track. The way they're going to do this is to turn 1 in every 10 collector's reserves you open into one of these. Now, these are spotlight caches where you can get Series 4 and Series 5 cards on the collection track. But how do they actually work? Let's take a look. Every week, a new spotlight cache is introduced, and what it means is each one of these caches will have 4 cards in it. Each week, those cards will change. So what we're looking at is a potential spotlight cache with Jean Grey in it. Now, the way these caches are determined is one of the cards will be the featured card for that week. So, for example, if we were to do this with the current system, Spider-Man 2099 would be coming out in a spotlight cache as the featured card where Jean Grey is. 2 more cards will be the featured cards that are not the newly released cards. So there's the newly released card, and then there are 2 more featured cards. Finally, there is a random Series 4 or Series 5 card in the spotlight caches. Since there are 4 items, you have a 25% chance at opening any one of them when you open a spotlight cache. What this means is that you can save up 4 of these spotlight caches and guarantee yourself the new card as well as the featured cards and that random Series 4 or 5 card. However, Second Dinner is aware that there are going to be people who have close to full collections. So the way it works is if you already have the card, either the featured card or the new card, or the random Series 4 or 5 card, you will instead get a premium variant for that card. There is no prioritization. So what that means is if you have 3 of the 4 cards already, you can still open 3 variants before you open the new card. What that means in turn is that you're going to have to be a little bit discerning with which weeks you want to open up your cards, because you not only have to think about the new card being released, but also the next cards that are going to be featured, because each of those is going to change week to week. When you open a card, it is removed from that week's cache. So what that means is that you will be able to get all of the rewards here. So I've gone through the specifics of what the season caches are, but let's take a look at the actual math behind it and what we're trading off in exchange for what we're actually getting. So first things first, I do want to say what does seem to be happening here is we are getting, on average, more new cards and more cards in general. So most players are going to see a significant increase in card acquisition from this change. The downside that I see potentially is that we are going to see a little bit more forced to save our caches for the specific weeks that are actually good for us, depending on the state of our accounts. If we only want one specific card that's coming out and we have most every other card, well, there's not really a huge incentive for us to spend our caches, similar to the way that people are stacking up tokens right now. That said, it is a huge boost in Series 4 and Series 5 acquisition for everybody, but especially for people who don't have a lot of Series 4 and Series 5 cards, where they can pick and choose the best weeks to go hog wild with their caches and get 2, 3, 4 really, really good cards that they can really use to build their decks around. Because fundamentally, what is happening is we are getting more cards with this update. The best way to compare the new system and the old system is by looking at what you'd get with the new system and with the old system over the course of a month. So here's what you would get with the old system over the course of a month, basically guaranteed. If you were not complete Series 3, you would get 9 Series 3 cards, 1 Series 4 card, and a variety of other rewards, including cosmetics, gold, and most importantly, approximately 4,000 tokens. Under the new system, this is drastically different. Instead, you're getting 3 to 4 Series 4 or 5 cards, depending on, if you get unlucky and there's a variant in there for a card you already own, but there probably isn't because you're not Series 3 complete. You're getting 8 Series 3 cards, and what you're losing is a lot of that token income. So token income is going to dry up to nearly nothing after this change because almost all of the acquisition is going to be done on the collection track with tokens as a failsafe. Next, let's take a look at someone who is Series 3 complete. On average, that person would get 1 guaranteed Series 4 card and about 5,000 tokens along with some additional cosmetics. The real thing that they're gaining from a Series 3 complete player is that they're getting a bit more token income. And other than that, they're getting their guaranteed Series 4 card. They already have all of Series 3, so they get a little bit more token income, and that's not a lot. Under the new system, this player is now going to be getting a couple of Series 4 and 5 cards, maybe a variant for a card they own that is in the Spotlight caches on the week they decide to open those cards, and they're getting drastically reduced token income by an extremely, extremely significant amount. They're no longer getting that 5,000 tokens, they're now getting about 800. So for Series 3 complete, you're losing out on about 80%, if not a little bit more, of your token income in exchange for being able to open these cards on the collection track. So what does this actually mean for Marvel Snap? To my mind, I think it's a very good change and one that is long overdue. Longtime viewers of the channel will know that I have made many critiques of Marvel Snap's acquisition in the past, and I think that generally speaking, it is one of the worst features of the game, something that drives people away. I do think that this new system provides a lot of players the ability to get more cards that they actually want. I do worry, of course, that there are going to be incentives for us to hoard these caches. I am also aware that Second Dinner knows that there are going to be incentives to hoard these caches and will be looking pretty closely at that. So it is entirely possible that in the future we will be unable to hoard these caches. My main worry is one of agency. I do think it's mostly alleviated in the sense that, we still are going to be able to have tokens. They're going to be much reduced, though. We're going to be able to save up these boxes. But if they ever install a cap on how many Spotlight caches you're able to hold at once, I do think there is a little bit of a risk of losing the agency of targeting multiple cards. Let's say 2 good cards come out in a row and we're capped at 4, that could be an issue. So I would say that if they end up looking at capping it, I would say it should be significantly higher than that. But overall, what's happening here is if you are not Series 4, not Series 3, if you don't have a lot of these cards, you're about to get a lot more. Marvel Snap has finally made good on their promise to make the token shop not necessarily a thing of the past, but the supplemental method of acquiring cards rather than the major one. So I generally am pretty overjoyed at a change like this because I hope that by making the game more accessible, as I understand it, this will boost card acquisition rates by a pretty significant amount, and boosting that acquisition rate, getting people over that hump at the end of Series 3, where you have all these Series 3 cards, but you might not have the specific ones for the Series 4 and 5s that you actually need. Getting people over that hump by just giving them a lot of more access to cards is something that I think is a really good thing for them to do. And it is without question that this system is significantly more generous than the current one. That is not in dispute. That is just what the math is here. They are giving us more stuff. The only risk here is agency, but we have alleviated that agency risk by being able to save up all of the caches that we want. So if you're worried about agency, you can just look ahead and see what the cards coming out are and be like, oh, well, I want that one. I don't want that one. I'm interested in that one. I should have 4 just in case something really cool comes out. Or I can just save up my tokens in case something really cool comes out, because now there's so many more ways to interact with collecting Series 4 and 5 cards. And I'm really, really happy about that. I think it is long overdue, frankly. And I hope that this is the kind of change that can send Marvel Snap on an upward trajectory, because people are going to be excited to play, excited to open cards. It's getting back to the true core gameplay of Marvel Snap, which is you upgrade cards to get more cards. It's great. One other notable downside, though, and it sort of makes a lot more sense in hindsight, is This is what they were doing with flexible series drops. They want to be able to have desirable cards in Series 4 and Series 5. And that is why they were sort of doing what they were doing with Flex Series drops. They want you to be able to be happy when opening a Spotlight cache. They want a lot of cards in Series 4 and Series 5 so you don't just run out of stuff to get. And they want a lot of good cards in Series 4 and Series 5. So it's one of those things that I think kind of makes a little bit more sense in hindsight. It's still not something I'm totally happy with, but in the context of everything that is happening, in the context of all of this, okay, we have the flexible series drops, that sucked. Understanding that it's in service of this, which is significantly more generous and frankly, significantly more fun than saving up your crap in the token shop and then never buying anything anyway in case they release something broken. I think that that is a fine trade-off. I do wonder how this will go over with everyone else, honestly. I feel like this is something that is really good, but I have felt like that before, and I have been absolutely wrong. So I am super interested to hear what you think. But before we get to that, I would like to let you know a couple of FAQ answers so I can preempt what I expect to be some pretty common questions. First, if you have saved up collector's caches or collector's reserves, you will now be able to see them be converted into Spotlight caches at the exact rate that you would expect. So if you've saved up 50 collector's reserves, you'll get them converted over at that 1-to-10 ratio. You'll end up with 5 Spotlight caches. Second, for the 3 people out there who already have all the cards and all the variants, what they will get in these caches will be what they call premium mystery variants, which are a random variant that is not pixel, basically. So if you are one of the 3 people that has every card in the game and has opened all the caches to get all the special cache variants, you will also get more variants on top of that if for some reason you feel like chucking more money at Second Dinner. Second Dinner does plan to continue allowing Series 4 cards to release, but you will no longer be able to open them in normal caches on the collection track. They will instead be the featured new card in the Spotlight cache for the week of their release. Now, we don't know what that will do to the quests that they are planning on introducing. The weekend quests technically introduced didn't really go live the way they wanted to. We don't know if that is going to be the same thing, but if they are, that's a really interesting way to get tokens, actually, because if we're looking at 1,000 tokens as the rebate on that, suddenly you're getting 1,000 tokens when you open the new card too. That's actually really, really, really interesting. The Spotlight variants that you get in the Spotlight caches, if you already have the card, are time exclusive. So that means this might be the only way to get these unique variants. So that's it. What do you think of the Spotlight cache system? I tried to give you just the bare bones, what you need to know sort of data download. I wanted you to just know the important stuff. What does this do to me? I'm Series 3 complete. What can I be expecting? I don't have all the Series 3 cards. What does this look like for me? I hope you got that information out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Do you think this is enough? I mean, I know there's kind of been an ongoing dialogue on this channel as to what Second Dinner has to do in order to keep this game thriving. Do you think this is it? Because I think it's pretty damn good, and I'd like to see what the community thinks before forming a final reaction here. I am generally impressed with what they've come up with. I think it's true to the spirit of the game, and I'm very happy that it's more generous than what we currently have. Do you think it's generous enough? Do you think this is the kind of thing that keeps people going? What do you think you would change about it? Let me know in the comments. As always, I've been KM Best. I will see you next time.